Okay, so this is a really quick refresher for Scansion on the NLE for those who have not necessarily done it in a while. Remember that every line is going to be what's called a line of dactylic hexameter, in which there are going to be 6 measures, like in music, or feet, and it's going to have the pattern of either a dactyl, which is long, short, short. In the multiple choice, they label that as the letter D, or the equivalency would be, of course, the spondy, which is long, long. Note that 2 shorts equals 1 long. So you can think about it in terms of maybe like a half note and 2 quarter notes as the equivalency. And then you will have, obviously, that possibility again, that possibility again, that possibility again. And they will only ask you to scan the first 4 measures, the first 4 feet, and that is because the 5th foot is always, always, always a dactyl, and then the 6th foot is only going to be like that right there, in which it is either a long and a short, or a long and a long. That's why I put the X there. It could be either one. Now, remember that a syllable is long, and it is determined by the vowel if it is, in fact, going to be from 2 ways. Naturally long, which means that it would have a macron, and on the National Latin exam you will have macron, so you'll be able to tell when something is naturally long. The other way something could be long is that if it is a vowel followed by 2 consonants. So let's take a look at some lines of Virgil. So I'm going to go ahead and get a marker, and let's go ahead and just scan a few lines for a bit of practice. Let's start, I suppose, maybe right here with 695 and go ahead. So, first and foremost, QU, remember, is going to function as one singular consonant. It's the sound qua, 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 so it's 1 unit. So ignore the U as a vowel, because this word is not QI, but rather quai. And also, remember that diphthongs, the diphthongs you need to remember are AE and AU. They're always long. Also a diphthong, OE, but rarely will you see that one. And so therefore, here it is, quai, we will start out long, and then C and T follows that U, and that makes that long as well. Then N and T follows the A, that makes it long. Now, as at this point, we have an elision. Remember that an elision is an instance in which a word ends with a vowel, and the next word begins with a vowel. Like, in a moment, we'll have elision right there. Ends with a vowel, begins with a vowel. But also remember that elision can occur if you have an AM and the next word begins with a vowel, a UM and the next word begins with a vowel, and an EM and the next word begins with a vowel. And in elision, remember what is going to occur is that previous syllable falls off the face of the earth and you immediately go to the next vowel slash syllable. So here, that is long because of the NT, that does not exist anymore, and so then that A. Now note again that we have macrons, and the NLE will give you macrons, and so you'll be able to tell if it's naturally long or not. And so here, no macron, there's only 1 consonant, so that's going to be short. Again, then there's trouble here. I don't know what I've done wrong, and so maybe this whole thing has fallen apart, because, quite frankly, it is going to be an instance in which I don't understand why M and N, that has to be long, and that is a no possibility. The NLE will not give you an instance like this. Let's move on to another line. Yikes, that is embarrassing. So, let's move on to 696. Forget about that. There's something going on there. I would have to look into it further, but we're trying to keep this video short. So, M and the QU, which remember is 1 unit, that is going to be long. Remember this word is quia, so short and short. There it is. Remember that it can be short because that's only 1 consonant. C and F is long, or makes the preceding E long. There you can see a naturally long A. There's a macron like the NLE will have. So you of course divide it in that way. And here the O is going to be naturally long. That's going to be short because there's only 1 consonant, and there is of course no any sort of a long mark as it would be naturally long. That's also short. That's going to be, of course, long. Then C and M create that to be long, and thus we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then this should be long, short, short, and then long, who knows. That one worked out. Well, I was kind of worried about that 695. So let's move on. And remember, every single time that you either get the unit of the dactyl or the spondy, it is going to then, at that point, create a foot, and you need to move on to another foot. Number 697, let's take a look. D and M, make that long. Then, of course, this is not marked, and it only has one consonant, so that must be short, that must be short, and what we have here, then, is an elision. One word ending with a vowel, the next word beginning with a vowel, that A will fall off the face of the earth, and now that A with the N and the T, creating a long syllable, thus beginning the new foot, which always has to be long, because remember, whether it's a dactyl or a spondy, it has to begin with a long mark. That E is going to be short, because there's only one consonant, and we have long marks, so that is going to be short. That I is going to be short, and now that E is going to be long because of the M and the S. Then, of course, that is going to be short because it's not naturally long, nor is it followed by two consonants, and then that one must be short as well. Remember, if ever you end up with a situation like that, the next syllable has to be short, because you will never see that sort of pattern of 3 syllables in a row. Never ever. So we move on here. That O is naturally long, so I can go ahead and easily mark it, and we have another elision. And thus, remember, when it ends with a vowel, or A-M-U-M-E-M, plus the next word begins with a vowel, elision, this falls off the face of the earth, and then CC, create that as a long, and that's your first 4 feet. D, 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 S is what it would be here. And then, of course, the 5th foot should be that dactyl. Let's see if it is. Of course, that's long, short, short, and then long, who knows. So it works out perfectly fine. Let's do one more, shall we? And so here is 698. That O is long, both by nature. You can see it has the long marks. Again, the NLE will have the long marks, and so we'll mark it long, but also it would have been long by position because of the 2 consonants of N and D. This should be an elision, let's hope it works out this time, in which you have the UM, next word beginning with a vowel, and so therefore this falls off the face of the earth. That I is going to be long because of LL, and so therefore you can mark it in that way. This I is long by nature, so you can already tell that. That A is long by nature. Again, you're going to have the macrons on the NLE, which is of tremendous help to you. And then the M, P, R. It's a triple consonant, but we only needed 2. But nevertheless, it tells us that that U is long. That O is going to be long by nature. And then that E is also going to be long because of the R and the P. So there it is long. That I is not long by nature. There's no macron, and so it is followed only by 1 consonant. Create that short, then create that short, only 1 consonant, and then this makes 1, 2, 3, 4, the first 4 feet, which would be S, 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 D. And then here, RT, create the E to be long, but this is the 5th foot, so it's got to be long, short, short, which it works out perfectly, and then long, and then just like that. So, hopefully they tried to keep this as short as possible, but you'll be tremendously helped on the National Latin exam because they'll give you the macrons like what we have here. And when you are given the macrons, then obviously it is of tremendous help. One last thing that you need to remember as well is that sometimes that the I is not really an I, but rather a J. So look up here with this word, you know. That is not an I, but rather a J, because it is Juno. So please be aware of that. Things like Yakio, in which it would be, of course, not Iakio, not 4 syllables, but 3. So be aware of that. And I think that's pretty much all that you have to try and be aware of, except for, remember always, the U of the Q is a unit, and it makes like 1 single consonantal unit. Outside of that, I think you should be pretty good as far as trying to be able to scan because of the great help the macrons will give to you. So best of luck, and hopefully this short video was of somewhat help to you.